what advice would you give to participants of Samyama about how to best prepare themselves physically and mentally?
So how to prepare for Samyama. So physically, we'll start with that because I think it's the most important aspect. For me particularly, again, this is my opinion, right? But I went through the Hatha Yoga teacher training, and our training is very intense. And then this was 2016, I took Samyama 2019. So for 3 years, I was doing sadhana before I went to this program. And then in the program, after the 4th day, I realized how intense it was. My body was starting to get tired. And then I was only just thinking, if I'm struggling after all of this intensity of practice and preparing my body, I can only imagine how other people may be feeling who've probably just started training their body 6 months ago. So I think people should understand that preparing physically for Samyama means your body should be just comfortable sitting on the floor for at least 2 hours. Because if you're not able to simply sit and you're worried about the pain on your neck or your back or your knee or this or that, you're not going to be able to focus on what's really happening there. So the most important thing is to really take your practice seriously. I would say once that practice it's getting there, once your body is coming to a level of ease where you can just sit for long periods of time, then the mental aspect, I think, will come with it, right? Because the practices are also designed to lower the mental chatter and all of those. So I think it starts with that, right? Physically with the practice, and then the practice would lead to your mind being a little bit more at ease. And then emotionally, I think that's another aspect that people should consider, where your mind and your emotions also have a lot to do with the kind of food that you eat. So I would say that being very conscious of what you're eating and sticking to the diet, it's very important. So I'm not saying anything different than the guidelines they give in the ashram, right? But I think that the explanation as to why, because I personally didn't go to the interviews and all that stuff. I got to skip all that, and we can talk about that later. But the idea of just physically preparing your body and taking the Hatha Yoga practices seriously, and along with the food, like I said, your mind and your emotions will come to a level of settling down and then getting ready for that program. Because it's very intense. I don't think people really understand the level of intensity that they're going to put themselves through. And rather than just checking some box that, I want to attend this program, really just sitting with, okay, what is the best way for me to prepare for this thing, to receive whatever it's going to be given there? Always goes back down to the practices.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, it took me 6 months to just be able to sit on the floor comfortably, not for 2 hours, but somewhat comfortably. So I think that has a lot to do with your habit, from the culture that you come, your job, and all these things. And another thing is that different people have a different perception of pain as well. For example, somebody who has given birth, they have a different level of pain that they have known, they have experienced. So they will also deal with pain in a different way. And the same thing goes to any other experiences in life. So I would say to someone who has had a certain amount of physical pain, I feel like they can kind of tune out of it. Because that's one of the things that I noticed, is that sometimes I sit on the floor and I might have a certain kind of itch or pain, but if I don't really pay attention to it, then I can sit for some longer time,
Absolutely.
I'm not saying I can extend it to maybe, 4 hours or 6 hours or whatever.
Mr. V?
I'm meditating. 2 minutes to go.
But there's a certain point where I'm uncomfortable, and if I push a little bit, then I can extend it to, at least another half an hour. And I mean, it grows with time, of course. But yeah, I absolutely agree with what you said. Physically, it's definitely a challenge in that way. Also, because, you don't have a choice to do something else. So I think that's also challenging because you can't just do what you think you want. Like if you think, okay, I'm just gonna get up and, do what I want.
Okay, you get started. I'm gonna stretch first.
That's not gonna help you with the program.
Yeah, this is going to push you beyond what you thought you were capable of. And then for me, it was a combination of everything, I think, for everybody else, right? But I think physically for other people, it's probably more mentally for other people and, emotionally, because this is going to push you in all those aspects, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So having the right mindset, right? I think it's important. Like, why am I doing this? Why do I want to go there? Is it just to check another box? Is it just to say I've done another program? Is it just to fit into a category of meditators?
I am officially in the club.
I think it's important to look at it, like, really just sit with it and say, what am I going to get from this program? Why am I going there? Like, genuinely sit with that question rather than just going with, peer pressure or, because it can get like that, right? Like sometimes we probably discuss this amongst other meditators, right? Oh, you haven't done this program? Oh, you don't know. Oh, you haven't done this program? Yeah, he doesn't know. So rather than just getting into this mood of, I'm an advanced meditator, so I have to take this program, just simply see and ask yourself, why are you really doing it? Because it's going to push you in many ways. And if you're not ready, and by the way, I don't know if anybody is really in the right position to say, yeah, if they're ready or not. I don't think, only you know that. I don't think anyone can say that for you, but just having the right mindset. And I think once you have that, everything else will come to play, because you'll have enough dedication and commitment and discipline to go through, like I said, for example, the practices, right? And then if you develop that commitment, then the rest will happen naturally. Being a little redundant, but that's basically what happened for me. That's how I went through it, and that's how I'd help people go through it. Steps physically, and we look at how your food is going so that it can help you mentally and emotionally and so on and so forth.
How can I assess whether I'm physically, mentally, and emotionally prepared for this program? Are there some kind of parameters that they can look at? For example, being able to sit for an extended amount of time. Are there other kind of parameters that you feel like one can look at?